Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and if you're new here, thank you so much for joining me. So today I thought we would do a books that define my taste video so that anybody who is new here and hasn't come from my TikTok or Instagram, you can get to know what kind of books I enjoy reading. So we're gonna go through like each different genre and subgenre of books that I like to read, and I'll give you some of my favorites. So starting off with dark romance. Now dark romance isn't like my favorite genre, but I will read it from time to time. Over the last year or so, I haven't been reading dark romance as much as I used to, just because it does mess with my brain sometimes, and some of these books are like dark and twisted. But my favorite, all-time favorite dark romance books is the Dark Prince Road series by Parker S. Huntington and L.J. Shen. I rave about this series on my TikTok because they are literally my favorite. My Dark Romeo is definitely my favorite in the series. It was a book that I had picked up just as it had gone traditionally published. I was about to pick it up and I had it in my basket, and then it went traditionally published like the day afterwards, so I waited a little bit and then got it. Decided to read it. Didn't really think I was going to like love it as much, and I think I got like maybe 10 pages in and I was like, I'm loving this, I need to go back through and tab and annotate it. So I did that, and it's a 5-star read. It's one of my favorite books ever. So then I was really excited when My Dark Desire came out, which is the second book in the series, and I loved it just as much. And then My Dark Prince came out February 7th in the UK. I thought this was going to be a 5-star read. It's a 4.5, but I still absolutely love it. And like this series, you wouldn't think like dark romance books are going to be hilarious. These make me laugh out loud. I absolutely love the characters in this series. They just have like the best banter, and I love the group chat between the guys in the books. I do have more dark romances, but these are the ones that I like 100% will ride or die by. Like, these are just amazing. Moving on to fantasy. This series I read last year and absolutely loved it, and since then it's like become one of my all-time favorite series, and that is Zodiac Academy by the Twisted Sisters. If you have not read this series, you need to. I know it's like so intimidating because the main story is, I think it's about 11 books. There are novellas as well. I personally didn't read the novellas. I have a whole like reading order video on my TikTok if anybody wants to see that for how you should read these. I originally read these on Kindle Unlimited because they are so chunky and they're so expensive, and I didn't know if I was going to like them or not, so I read them all on Kindle Unlimited in October of last year. I absolutely fell in love with the series. Like, I was like, oh, I'll read one book a month or something. So I read book 1 in September, then read book 2 in October, and the ending of book 2 made me read book 3 immediately, and then like it just went so forth. And I think I ended up reading like 2 books a day because I genuinely couldn't put them down, even though they're chunky ass books. This series follows twin sisters, and they are from the human realm, and this guy just kind of comes and says like, you need to come with me to this Fey realm. And they go to this Fey realm and learn that they are the lost princesses, and they need to go to this Zodiac Academy school, learn how to harness their powers and learn how to become the queens. But there are 4 boys called the heirs, and they are who is supposed to take the throne, and they're not happy that the girls are there, and so it starts off this bully romance. It is amazing. Like, it's genuinely so good, and because I love them, I have decided I'm going to be collecting all of the books now. I don't know when they're going traditionally published in the UK. They have started doing that in America, I think, but they're not doing it in the UK first, and I just personally love the OG covers. Like, they're my favorite, even though they're insanely glossy, which I don't really like. And these are huge. Like, they're a huge, the size of it compared to my head, it's a massive ass book. But I love this series so much. It is so good. It is so gut-wrenching and heart-wrenching, but the magic system and the characters and the romance are amazing. Like, this, just one of my favorite. Then we have the Bewitched series by Laura Thalassa. Again, I got these just because like I'd heard a couple good things about them and just decided I wanted to read them. So I bought the first one on Vinted for £3. Read it and absolutely fell in love with this universe. So it's kind of like if you mixed Shadowhunters by Cassandra Clare with Legacies, which is the spin-off from Vampire Diaries. It's like if you mix those 2 universes together and you get this series. These are so good. They are genuinely so good. Like, it is set in modern time, but it has characters from like legends, if that makes sense, and I absolutely loved it. It's amazing. There is a novella coming out in July. It actually comes out on my birthday, July 1st, which I'm so excited for. It was originally a novella, but the author is like, it's longer than this book, and this book is chunky. I'm really excited for that. Book 3, the ending of the series, comes out at the end of the year. I think we don't actually have an official release date for it yet, but amazing. The Light That Blinds Us by Andy Darcy Theo. Now, I am not the biggest fan of YA. However, YA fantasy is one of my favorite things ever to read. I am dyslexic, so YA fantasy, the world for me is just much more simple and simplistic for me to understand. The Light That Blinds Us is by Andy Darcy Theo. He was a book talker and he wrote a book, and I absolutely love this book with my entire heart. It is one of my favorite fantasy books ever. Sort of this like elemental magic where this boy has a pendant, and then like these pendants, his pendant gets drawn to a place with 3 other people, the guardians of each element, and they kind of have to save the universe, which I love. It's such an incredible universe. It's incredible magic system. I love the characters. I can't wait for the second one to come out. It comes out in April. It's amazing. Then we have my Ride or Dies, and these are like genuinely, I will forever 100% love these books and rave about these books, and it's the Empyrean series by Rebecca Yarros. So Fourth Wing I read a couple years ago and absolutely loved it and fell in love with the universe, and this started my like dragon fantasy obsession. Ever since this, I am always trying to find new dragon fantasy romances. I'm gonna be honest, none so far have like matched up to the energy that Tarn and Andana and Segale give in this book, but I still love them. But this is just perfection, okay? I think I'm one of the few people on the planet that actually likes Iron Flame. Like, this is just so good. I don't know why it was getting so much hate. I personally think it's great. I think the relationships in it is great, and I think like the trauma in it is great. Yes, there are like some parts of it that aren't great, but I thought it was great. I don't know why it was getting so much hate. And obviously I loved Onyx Storm when it came out. Now, when it comes to romance, I have 2 genres or subgenres in particular that I stick to and will read any book that has these subgenres in. Any. Like, I ride or die for these, and they are my favorites. The first one is cowboy romances. Now, I will, like I said, read any cowboy romance book that I see, but these are like my favorites. So Untamed by MJ Hendricks. This is a darker cowboy romance, which I absolutely loved. It's quickly become one of my favorite reads. It was my favorite read in December of last year, and since then I've been looking for more darker cowboy romances because it's genuinely so good and it deserves more hype. There's Elsie Silver. Now, I love Elsie Silver so much, and I love the Chester Springs series and the Goldrush Ranch series. Specifically, my favorites from the Goldrush Ranch series is A False Start. I read these books way before they got traditionally published, like maybe 2 years before they got traditionally published, and I love them so much. A False Start is my favorite. It's brother's best friend. He's older, there's age gap. It's cowboys. Like, this book is just such perfection. Elsie did such a great job with this, and I'm so glad that more people are reading it now that it's been traditionally published, because this series deserves so much more love. Then my 2 favorites from the Chester Springs series are Heartless and Reckless. My favorite is Reckless. Reckless is an accidental pregnancy trope, and I'm gonna be completely honest, I love that trope. I don't know why people hate on it so much. The accidental pregnancy trope is one of my favorite tropes ever. If it is in a book, I'm reading it. I love it so much. I get why it gets hate, because like people just don't like the idea of like you having to be tied to somebody because of a baby, but I just love it. I think it's great, and I think it works really well. So Reckless is my favorite. I love Winter and Theo. Winter's like redemption arc in this was so good. Heartless, again, one of my favorites. I will always choose a single dad book. Another thing about me, I love single dad books. They're my favorites. So I absolutely love Heartless. It's cowboys and single dad. It's nanny. Nanny single dad is one of the best tropes ever. I'm sorry, but it is. It's so good. So this, one of my favorites. And then last year I went fully obsessed over this series, and this book became my favorite book of 2024, and it's one of my favorite books of all time. Holding the Reins by Paisley Hope, and then we also have Training the Heart, which is the second book. This is the Silver Pines series. I love these books so much. I knew from page 1 that this was going to be a 5-star read. It's just one of my favorite books ever. So it is ex-hockey player. We have ice hockey and a cowboy romance. Of course I was going to love this. So he's an ex-hockey player. They live on a ranch. It's brother's best friend trope. She works for him. This book just owns a place in my heart, and I absolutely love it. And then Training the Heart, again, was fan-freaking-tastic. It's another 5-star. this series is again like I only have like 3 series that are each book is 5 stars, and this is one of them. This is like workplace romance. She's a horse trainer and she works on his ranch, and he's grumpy and she's sunshine and he's morally gray. Like again, and the men in these books, the way they take care of their women, I love so much. So these are just like top tier, and everybody needs to read them because they're genuinely so good. The 3rd book, Riding the High, comes out in May, which I am genuinely so excited for. I can't wait for that one to come out. And then the last subgenre is ice hockey. These books just, I love them. I don't know why. I'm really not like a sports fan, and I don't really particularly love sports romances, but ice hockey for some reason just does it. I think it's just because of like the guys on the team, and especially when they have their group chats and like the banter that they have, I think that just adds something extra to the books. So the Vancouver Storm series by Stephanie Archer, I absolutely love. I read these before they went popular and I absolutely love them. This one, Behind the Net, is like a coming back into your life story. So like they knew each other in school and she goes to work for him and she realizes he doesn't recognize her, and it just goes from there. This one is so good. The second one, The Fake Out, is my favorite though. I gave that one 5 stars. It's so good. The 4th book in the series comes out in a couple months, and I'm genuinely so excited for it because I love anything Stephanie Archer writes, and she did an amazing job with doing ice hockey. Then we have Elle Kennedy, which like you can see like right here is my Elle Kennedy like part of my shelf. And I absolutely love the Off-Campus series, but specifically The Score is my favorite. I know most people love The Deal, but I just love Dean and Allie so much. This is the one that I gave 5 stars to. I didn't think I was gonna like this because of like Dean's playboy aspect that you get throughout the first 2 books. This is kind of like a one-night stand friends with benefits situation, which isn't my favorite tropes in a book. I don't know what it was. I don't know what Elle Kennedy put in this book, because it has like my least favorite tropes and my least favorite character and turned them into my favorites, and it just worked so well. Then we have Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. Now this was the very first ice hockey romance book that I read, and since then, if you can't tell by this shelf right here, this is my Hannah Grace collection, and like it continues over here because you can see my arc of Daydream right here. I'm just going to show you guys like that whole shelf is a Hannah Grace shelf dedicated to the Maple Hill series because of how much I loved Icebreaker. And then Wildfire became my favorite, like Daydream is one of my favorites. So this book was where my ice hockey romance obsession started. I think it was the first ice hockey romance book I read. This is a reverse Grand Prix Sunshine. A lot of people think it's enemies to lovers, and it's not. I hate that it gets targeted as an enemies to lovers because it's really not. But it's sort of like a, she just doesn't like him because she's grumpy all the time, and like he's just pure sunshine and golden retriever vibes, and they decide to work together on the rinks, and I love it. It's just my favorite book of all time because their relationship is literally me and my husband. And so yeah, I will probably talk about this book a lot on my channel because it's my favorite book of all time. Then we have Kelsey Ray. Now Kelsey Ray, like on TikTok, I don't really see a lot of people talk about her. I'm always talking about her books in my videos because I absolutely love these 2 series that she created, and I feel like they just don't get enough love. So we have the Don't Let Me series, which is again an ice hockey romance series. It follows all the guys on the team. Each book is different. Series first, and then she wrote a Next Gen series which follows all of the kids from every single couple in this book, and it's a lot of kids. Okay, I think we're currently on book 5. Book 6 is coming out next month in March, and then book 7 I think comes out at the end of the year. There's a lot of books in this series, but like she just writes incredible romances. The banter in them is so good. The protectiveness from all the guys is amazing. I genuinely cannot figure out why more people aren't reading them. They're amazing. I love them like so much. So there you have it. Those are all of the books that kind of define my taste, so you guys can see a little bit better on like what kind of books I usually reach for and what kind of books I'm going to be talking about on this channel. I would love to hear your thoughts on if you have read any of these books, or if you have any recommendations based on the books that I have given you, what kind of books I would like to read. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you all next time. Bye.